Hey everybody, welcome back to Lettermen Row. I am Austin Ward. This is Rapid Reaction brought to you by Buyers Auto. Got Jeremy Birmingham and Spencer Holbrook with me as we're breaking down Trey Sermon making his decision to become a graduate transfer and fill this void for Ohio State at running back. This has kind of been whispered about as a possibility for a while. Berm, you've talked about his name and how he could potentially help after that Master Teague injury. Marcus Crowley had been on the shelf through spring. This seemed like a perfect fit for everybody involved, and now it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about, it's a guy that Ohio State knew. He's a player that Tony Alford recruited coming out of Georgia back in 2016. The fit for the offense makes a lot of sense for a running back who's coming off of an injury in a place like Oklahoma, where he may be 3 or 4 on a list of guys that are returning, but also the fact that you just don't know how their offense is going to transition with Spencer Rattler. You sort of have a pretty good idea what you're going to get with Justin Fields in Ohio State. So I think for Trey, that's probably one of the reasons that made it make the most sense. You just don't know where that Sooners offense is going. Combine that uncertainty with the rehab and the recovery from the knee, and maybe he just wanted a fresh start. I mean, he put in his time at Oklahoma. He's obviously, as you said, a graduate. He's done everything he needed to do, and now he's going to be doing what he wants to do and finishing out his career in Columbus. And I think it's a perfect fit.
Spencer, when you look at this impact, I think we've all been talking about at Lettermen Row and on this Ohio State beat, the running back position for about a year with the recruiting and now the injuries and losing J.K. Dobbins. How do you see this working out? I mean, obviously there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know exactly when football is going to resume for Ohio State, but where do you, if you had to rate the impact of landing Trey Sermon given the state of the current depth chart, where would you put it?
I think it's the most important thing that's happened this offseason because you have Steel Chambers, who is the only scholarship running back available. You have Master Teague, who obviously has his injury. You have another injury with Marcus Crowley. You don't know where he's going to be in his progression as he comes back from his injury. And so, really, we saw in practice Xavier Johnson was the backup running back. That's a problem if you're Ohio State. So to add Trey Sermon, to add a proven guy who, you've written about it on Letterman Row before, that he is a 2,000-yard back on a national championship contender, that's important. And to have him just come into the program and be a one-year fix is a pretty big deal for Ryan Day.
Yeah, I think, Berm, from your perspective, I got this question a lot when I was writing about Trey Sermon and the fit last week. How does this impact Ohio State's recruiting when you're talking about, trying to be involved with Travion Henderson and they've got Evan Pryor and already committed? Well, if he's a graduate transfer with 1 year, it doesn't impact anything. It's just a short-term fix for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it's a plug and play. It's not someone who I think that you go out and say Trey Sermon's our guaranteed starter. I think that people are going to want to do that, but it's not a situation like Justin Fields a year ago because, number one, the talent gap between Sermon and a healthy Master Teague and a healthy Marcus Crowley may not be quite that vast as it was with Justin Fields and the guys behind him on the Ohio State roster. But you look at a guy who can provide quality depth, who can provide that piece that was maybe missing for this season and this season alone, and that's why it's important. This is not a 3-year thing. It's not going to impact any of recruiting in 2021 or 2022. What it does impact is the possibility of Steel Chambers being the starting running back this year, based on the fact that what you think Trey Sermon's going to be able to do is compete for that starting job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anyone in their right mind would try and compare that to Justin Fields. Trey Sermon's going to come in and compete for
the good news is, Austin, most people on the internet are not in their right minds. So that's who I'm speaking for.
But I do think that, Ohio State can look and draw on what happened with Jonah Jackson last year. I know that that's obviously not a perfect comparison for a guy who came in and started at guard to a running back, and those positions are wildly different. But, Jonah Jackson, when he came in, it wasn't a matter of he was automatically the starter. I think many of us assumed that he would become that, but we talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he felt like he needed some time, and he didn't think that it was just going to be handed to him, and he felt a little out of place. Trey Sermon's going to go through all of that, but the way that it worked out, I was talking to Spencer about this the other day. Ryan Day is just, he's got to be absolutely living right. He had a need at guard last year. Jonah Jackson pops into the transfer portal with NFL ability and can start for 1 year. I don't know what the ceiling is for Trey Sermon, exactly how he is with that health, but this is a guy with 25 touchdowns for a team that's played in the college football playoff. So I think there are some similarities there, and if Trey Sermon, Spencer, can give Ohio State anything like what Jonah Jackson did, that's going to wind up being a huge pickup for the Buckeyes by the fall.
Well, Jonah Jackson led the team in knockdowns last year. I just wrote about that, and so that was his impact. He helped lead the best interior offensive line in the country. That probably should have won the offensive line award and kind of got screwed out of that. If Trey Sermon can be a quick fix and the flex seal that goes on the sinking boat, and not that Ohio State's running back situation is sinking, but if he can be that patch that stops the water from coming in, then so be it. If Jonah Jackson, they had a need at offensive line, Jonah Jackson came in, was able to win the starting job, and he was able to plug and play and lead them to a college football playoff. But if Trey Sermon can do the same thing, then I think the Buckeyes are in a much better place. And Ryan Day just continues to, like you've been saying, catch these breaks in the transfer portal, or on the breaks. Maybe it's just a knack for being able to find the right guys.
Yeah,
I love it. Commercial.
It wasn't a sinking ship. I said before that Ohio State's running game was going to be fine no matter what, but
there was a little bit of water coming.
There was definitely a hole, because that's why Trey Sermon is on board to help patch it up and fix it and make sure that Ohio State keeps rolling along there on the ground. This has been a rapid reaction. Trey Sermon has made his decision. He's joining the Ohio State Buckeyes. Jeremy Birmingham down there, Spencer Holbrook, appreciate their insight and analysis. I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next time here at Lettermen Row.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We've got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.